Tomorrow, Arsenal return to the Emirates to play Leeds at home, the first home game of the season. This is exciting. The Emirates is going to be rampaging. I cannot wait. This is actually the first game of the season. The Man United game, usually we play our first games at home, but because that hasn't happened, we haven't really seen the excitement of these new players, of the new signings. Just imagine in the Emirates when Gyokeres makes a touch, it's going to be rampaging. This is where you're going to see the players really step up. Old Trafford, that's our facade, yeah. The players, they're always going to be on low confidence for that game. But now that we're back in the Emirates, expect to see a really top performance, a really big performance from the Arsenal team. Leeds, who just recently got promoted, not the best team, if I'm being honest with you. I think we can get a really positive result, a really positive performance coming off that Manchester United game. That was scrappy, that was a bit, rough. We didn't play the greatest, but we still got the 3 points, which is the most important thing that people keep forgetting. But Leeds, this is why I want to see the 3 points, as well as a top performance, as well as a blistering scoreline. I want to absolutely batter Leeds. I want to see certain players get on the score sheet that we're going to mention in a second. But before we get into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're so close to 10,000 subscribers. We just hit 8,000. Thank you guys so much. And let's try and go for 110 likes on this video. If it does, it gets it pushed out into the algorithm. It supports your boy so much. And I will be attending the game tomorrow. So expect to see some very interesting content coming soon. Now, Leeds at home. If I'm being honest with you, it should be a stroll in the park. However, Leeds are a recently promoted side. They did beat Everton 1-0 in the first Premier League game of the season. So they are coming in as the underdogs. They are coming in with a little bit of a point to prove. They're back in the Prem. Their team isn't the strongest, if I'm being honest with you. They don't really have any players that scare me, but it's just that it's the underdog factor that can step in. But I do expect Arsenal to really dominate this performance. I do expect us to come in with a really strong lineup. Of course, Kai Havertz got injured, long-term injury. Apparently, it's only going to be a few weeks, actually. So I think we played a little trick there to get, the very interesting signing of Eberechi Eze. Are we going to see Eberechi Eze play against Leeds? Or are we going to see him in the squad or in the lineup or on the bench or maybe just watching the game? Who knows? Apparently, he's going to sign his contract today. The media team is getting his announcement ready for today. So I don't think he'll get registered in time for the Leeds game. Hopefully he is. If not, I'm sure he'll be at the stadium. I'm sure he'll be at the game. I'm sure he'll have a little walkout, a little round of applause. The Emirates is going to be absolutely rabid. Imagine pulling up to the Emirates and you see Eberechi Eze walking out. Oh my god. Now, before we talk about the game a little bit, let's do our predicted lineups for tomorrow. Who I think Arsenal and Mikel Arteta is going to start in the game against Leeds tomorrow. Let's start from the keeper. Of course, David Raya. We're not really going to change that. Right back, I am going to go for Jurriën Timber. Apparently, Ben White wasn't seen at the open training session. It could mean that he maybe has a knock or something. I don't know, but I think we will go for Jurriën Timber. I think we are going to go for control for this game. Obviously, Saliba, Gabriel at the back. And honestly, I want to go for Riccardo Calafiori. Scored the only goal against Manchester United last game. He was unbelievable. And I think he is really necessary for this Arsenal attack to have some, attacking threat. Miles Lewis-Skelly is a brilliant footballer. But going forward, in terms of making the underlapping runs, making the overlapping runs, that's not really his game. His game is more of control. And I think Arteta, now that Calafiori's fit, he wants to go more attacking. We're seeing it. He's seen it in terms of the signings of the Mavericks, like Madueke, Eze, Gyokeres. Calafiori fits into that, mode of a Maverick, and I think we're going to play with him in left back. I think we're going to see him bomb up quite a lot in this game. And, he was really good in that Manchester United game, so I'm looking forward to seeing him against Leeds. Moving on to the midfield three, I think it's going to be the same as Manchester United. Obviously, they didn't have the greatest game. Zubimendi in the 6, Rice on his left, and Ødegaard on his right. They didn't have the greatest game against Manchester United. I thought Ødegaard was actually the most impressive out of the three, but Zubimendi struggled to get into the game. Declan Rice, honestly anonymous, but Ødegaard, he looked like he's slowly getting back to his best in the sense where he looks more confident on the ball. He looks like he's willing to make the more dangerous pass. And of course, we've got Victor Gyokeres up top, who we'll get into in a second. Feeding him in, I think the Leeds game is going to be a perfect example of Ødegaard really expressing himself, really making those adventurous passes and those shots. He was taking a lot of shots in that Manchester United game as well. Expect him to keep doing that as well. So I am going to go for the same midfield three that we played against Manchester United. Now, moving on to the front three. This is where I think we're going to have one change, and it's going to be a very interesting change. Of course, Bukayo Saka is going to be starting on the right-hand side. Gyokeres up top, because we don't really have a striker other than Gyokeres at the moment. Havertz Havertz got injured, I am expecting Victor Gyokeres to step up. I am expecting him to score his first competitive goal for Arsenal. And on that left-hand side, I'm going for Noni Madueke. I think he's a must, right? Martinelli, absolutely shocking in the game against Manchester United. It doesn't make sense starting Martinelli at this point because you can clearly see his confidence is still low. He isn't looking as sharp as we'd like him to be. So I think we are going to go for Noni Madueke on that left-hand side. Get his game time up. I think he's going to be our starting left winger going into the season. However, I still wouldn't be surprised if we saw Trossard get some game time there right now. He is coming back from a knock, so I doubt he'd be starting. I'd see him on the bench. But I do think Noni Madueke is going to start. And that front three is going to be so exciting to watch. Gyokeres up top, Saka on the right, and Noni Madueke on the left. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Noni Madueke on the right and Bukayo Saka on the left, because apparently that's what we've seen in the open training session, which is actually kind of crazy. But let me know in the comments if you agree with my starting 11, and let me know what you guys think. Predicted lineups, who are we going for? Now, let's get into the game. Let's get into what I think, how the game is going to go, who's going to score, how we're going to perform, the lead up to it. And I think Arsenal are going to wipe the floor with Leeds. We're going to get to score predictions a little bit later, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But I think Victor Gyokeres is going to have a monstrous game. This is where he's going to announce himself to the Premier League. Honestly, he has to, right? Kai Havertz is injured now. You've had a few sessions with the team now, you should be looking a bit more sharper than you were against Manchester United, and you should get a lot more service this game. I think Leeds are going to sit back and we're going to have majority of the ball. So Gyokeres, expect that ball to get into the box quite a lot, especially with the, Bukayo Saka. Hopefully Noni Madueke plays. Martin Zubimendi is going to absolutely dictate that tempo, allowing Ødegaard more attacking freedom to try and find you. So I do think Victor Gyokeres is going to have an unbelievable game. This is where he's going to start his Arsenal tally. Obviously, I mentioned Martin Zubimendi. I think he's going to do absolutely brilliant in this game. This is a game where, it suits him best. This is where Arsenal are the physically more superior team. Not just physically, in every aspect, we're the more superior team. And that's where Martin Zubimendi thrives. If the players around him are playing good, Martin Zubimendi, if you allow him to control the game, be that metronome of the game, he's going to make us win the game. It's that simple. He's going to create chances. He's going to improve our build-up. He's going to make us play faster. And that's where I think Martin Zubimendi is really going to announce himself to the Premier League. Same with Martin Ødegaard. I think he's going to have a really good game. First game at home, captain. He's got a season to prove. He's got to prove himself this season. And we saw it against Manchester United. We saw little highlights of him, showing that he really wants to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And I think against Leeds, he's going to be feeding Victor Gyokeres for fun. I think he's going to get a few assists maybe in the game. But yeah, I think Ødegaard is going to have a really good game. I think Noni Madueke, if he starts, he's going to have a really good game. I think in terms of defense, we're not going to get troubled too much. Like when I'm looking at this Leeds team, you've got Daniel James, you've got Nonto, you've got Pirro. Honestly, it's not fascinating, to be honest with you guys. I think we are going to dominate. We could maybe leak one goal, but I think it's going to be a nice day at the Emirates tomorrow. And this perfectly swerves us over to what I think the score predictions are going to be. Let me know what yours are down below before I get mine in. In 3, 2, 1. I think Arsenal win this game 3-0. Victor Gyokeres scores a brace. And maybe, I don't know, Bukayo Saka gets on the score sheet. Martin Ødegaard gets on the score sheet. But I am predicting a 3-0 win with Victor Gyokeres 100% being a goal scorer in the game. Let me know if you guys agree down below in the comments. Let me know what you think, who you think is going to win the game. I'm sure you're going to think Arsenal's going to win the game. Let me know your score predictions as well. Who you think is going to score? Who you think is going to be the best player of the match? I think the best player of the match is going to be Martin Ødegaard. I think he's going to be pulling strings in this match. I'm telling you, I'm getting my stocks in for Martin Ødegaard. I think he's going to have an unbelievable season. This is where I'm backing my captain. Yeah, I cannot wait for the game tomorrow. I will be there. So if you do see me there, if you are going to the game, don't mind saying hello and whatnot. But yeah, honestly, can't wait for the game, man.